Reading Dina's Powys from book King Arthur of Glamorgan and Gwent by Alan Wilson and Baron Blackett, King Arthur's Sword, CALIBURN, page 293. King Arthur's sword CALIBURN was said to have been made at Avalon, and Avalon, being by legend a holy place, brings us a stage further. It is quite possible that the villa, built on the Ely racecourse site, was inhabited by monks, who were metal workers amongst other things, in keeping with their inherited Druid traditions. The villa may be the church foundation set up by King Leirvik around 170 AD, a monastic settlement and nothing else. There are no other villa settlements in the area other than King Owen's Munster Palace, 20 miles west at Landwit Major. This is an attempt to make sense out of the stories, the histories and the facts which have survived down to us today. The Ely site is well away from the Roman centers of Caerleon and Caerwent, and is in the center of the territories of the British kings. If Arthur's sword was made at Avalon, then it is far more likely that it was made at Dina's Powys or up in Anglesey than in Glastonbury. The evidence on all accounts is very strongly in favor of the Cardiff locations and other Glamorgan sites used by the successive kings of the Arthurian dynasty. The clue lies in Welsh, Bardic and Christian practice clearly stated in the laws of Howell in 900 AD and recorded in English in the Mirvian Archaeology of Wales of 1801, and also in the History of the Welsh Bards of Edward Jones of 1794. The practice of metalworking, smithing, was strictly and exclusively reserved to the bards. As the bards were the Druid order, and the Druids had become the bishop and the priests of the Celtic Christian Church around 180 AD, and it is obvious that a metal working site was a religious site. So the Ely Villa was in fact a monastery of around 150 AD, and the Dina's Powys Hill site of around 500 AD was the same. This would indicate very clearly the location of King Leirvik's church of around 150 to 170 AD. The sword in the stone. The sword embedded in the stone is of course the representation and the manifestation of the god Ares. The fact that only the king could draw the sword needs very little explanation, for most ancient people appointed their emperor or king as chief priest. The theory was that a god could be very severely offended if anyone less than the most important man in the land were to make offerings in the role of chief priest. All Roman emperors of the East were always the Pontifex Maximus until 418 AD. All Roman emperors were always Pontifex Maximus until the end of the empire. Early Egyptian pharaohs were also first high priests of their greatest gods, and Hittite kings would even leave their armies when on campaign to go to be present at the most important religious ceremonies. It is for this precise reason that we find Arthur alone carrying the image of the Virgin Mary on his back at the Battle of Badon Hill. It is for the same reason that as King Arthur he carried the Gospels on his back around the boundaries of territories to be given to the Church in South Wales as recorded in the Llandaff Charters. The king was the top man, and he had to lead the way in important religious rites to avoid offense to the god. There can be little doubt that whilst Christianity was accepted, it had to exist alongside the older religions and cults for a long, long time. Very few ancient kings would put all their eggs in one basket and abandon older gods for the new Christian god exclusively.